Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous, or the one who has the most taqwa, the one who is most God-fearing, the one who is most conscious of Allah. We have this certain perception which we've been led to believe that we are better or worse than certain groups or certain individuals based on our financial or social status. You can understand why this happens. It's just reality. It's just how the world works. The way that respect is given, the way preference is given to certain people, and we all understand this concept of the upper class, the middle class, the lower class. And for many of us, we do find ourselves somewhat in the middle ground. There are those who are more fortunate than us, let's just say materialistically, and there are people who are, for most of us, there are those who are less and have less than us. But this information isn't anything new. A lot of us, we mentally we separate individuals and we class them in terms of skin color. You talk about the country that they grew up in or that they're currently living in. You talk about the school that they're at or that they went to. Talk about the company they work at. The list goes on. What else? Your yearly salary, whatever. Right? We do these classifications, and then subhanAllah, we go back to the verse that I mentioned. In the eyes of Allah, where the only judgment matters on the day of judgment, where you're going to be judged by our Creator, what does He say is the true classification? It's a level of taqwa. That's all it is. It's how much how righteous you are, how much good deeds you're doing, how much effort you're making in terms of staying away from those things which Allah dislikes. Step one, I think, is always important. It's just to sort of remind ourselves and remind others about our purpose in this world. So important. I'll say it now and I'll say it at the end of this video as well. We are only put on this earth for one reason, and that is to worship Allah, do that which pleases Him, and stay away from that which He dislikes. Point number two, I think it's super important that we make an effort to actually increase in beneficial Islamic knowledge. We talk about the Quran, talk about the verses, tafsir, we talk about the Sunnah, Hadith, and then of course, if you want to go further, you talk about the teachings and the opinions of respected scholars of the past and so on. But subhanAllah, I think it's so important for us to continue to learn, so that inshallah we can stay focused and remember that this life is temporary. Focus on what Allah said to focus on. In conclusion, Allah the Almighty says in the Quran, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except that they should worship me." In another verse, Allah says, "And whoever turns away from my remembrance, for him he will have a depressed life," right? A life filled with difficulties and hardships. And also you'll be raised on the day of resurrection blind. So inshallah, let's make the effort to take something away from this video, something beneficial, and actually make a change to our actions and our behaviors. May the Almighty guide, bless, and protect us all, inshallah.